I think I have everything.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. Join me today with Claudia Viek, a nationally recognized leader who has spent more than 35 years opening doors for women entrepreneurs through access to capital, policy change, and economic advocacy. As the founder of the Invest in Women Entrepreneurials Initiative, Claudia has helped shift millions of dollars into communities where women-owned businesses are ready to grow. Today, we're talking about why investing in women isn't just the right thing to do, it's a smart economic strategy that benefits everyone. Stay with us because Claudia breaks down what funders, policymakers, and everyday supporters can do right now to create economic impact for women entrepreneurs. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you, Kelly. And I guess you've shown my age. But I know that because we've worked together for so long, so we're
Yeah,
both showing our ages.
absolutely. Well, let's walk down memory lane a little bit. So I met Claudia as a student when I was at San Francisco Renaissance, an organization,
Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center, yeah.
right? An organization that you also were you a co-founder, you founded it.
Yes, yes. In what was it now? 1988 is
Okay.
when it started.
Okay. So I was one of the students there, a graduate, and then I also ended up teaching there. It was a wonderful time. I'll never forget that time. So yes, so Claudia definitely has her hands into making sure that women have access. So let's get into it. Claudia, where were you born and raised, and what schools and stuff did you attend? Are you from the Bay Area?
No, I'm originally from the East Coast. I grew up outside Philadelphia and went to the corner primary school, and then I went to a girls' school for a few years. My dad died when I was 14, so that was a big upheaval in our lives, my sister and brother and my mom. And so we moved in with my grandparents in New
Okay.
York, outside New York City. So I've grown up in suburbs. So when I came to New York, came to San Francisco after graduating from college, came over in my boyfriend's Carmen Gia convertible. I just never looked back. I love San Francisco and I love living in the city, and I have been active in San Francisco for, many, many years now.
Okay. So what made you start San Francisco Renaissance, the Entrepreneurship Center? How did that come about?
Oh, gosh. Previous to that, I ran a community center in the Tenderloin. So,
Okay.
what would that program have in common with a business organization that helps people start small businesses? It was the whole all around the concept of ownership. I saw what happened when in a low income neighborhood like the Tenderloin, when we actually helped nonprofits buy housing, how housing became stable for people. And when I had the opportunity to join Renaissance, it was a very different organization when I first took over. But what drew me to it was, what if we help? What would that mean in terms of job creation? It was a very new concept in the country. There were just five organizations like Renaissance that taught entrepreneurship training and business planning.
Okay.
And we were trying to overturn that what the Small Business Administration, the U.S. Small Business and SBA says is, 50%, 80% of small businesses fail due to really poor management decisions, not just lack of capital, but poor management. So what if we turn that on its head by providing business assistance in a hands-on way? Just the fact that we hired you to teach shows that that hands-on experience
Oh,
is what really
absolutely.
makes a difference. So it's
Absolutely.
not some theoretical classroom setting. It's a real hands-on experience with people around the table, all races, genders, types of folks, um, focused on success.
Yeah.
And it was I was there for 14 years. It was just fantastic, and it's still going, thriving, better than ever today.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it was really interesting. After when we were having the graduation, I remember I had wanted to win the business plan so
Yeah.
badly, but Monica, I can't remember Monica's last name. She was
Monica Hudson.
Monica
Yeah.
Hudson
She
was the
teaches
winner of
too.
that baby, and she deserved it for sure.
Yeah, and she's still
But
involved too. That's
but
so cool.
but what happened, Paul said to me, he says, "But Kelly, I want to talk to you because I would like for you to teach." And I'm like, "What?" I said, he says, "You kept this class so motivated." So that's, I started, and I was teaching self-esteem classes anyway. So I started
Right.
doing the confidence building stuff there. And then we took it over into the Bayview, and that's when Maria Costin and I kind of partnered together doing it over there. It was phenomenal. So yes,
Mhm.
and when I was teaching at City College, I also kept Renaissance in. I would invite them in to come talk to my students, and a lot of my
Mhm.
students actually became, graduates of the program as well.
Yeah, I think I had 2,000 graduates in the 14 years I was there,
Wow.
and there must be about 10,000 graduates now, 35 years later, from the start. So yes, I'm very proud of that because I'm very proud of entrepreneurs like yourself who are bright lights in our communities or creating jobs, creating income, you know, and
Absolutely.
innovation and new ideas. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it with you a little more deeply today, too.
Okay, so now tell me about the Invest in Women Entrepreneurship Initiative, because that's your latest venture, right?
That's right. Invest in Women Entrepreneurs Initiative. I started in 2017. I decided to leave my job of 10 years running a statewide network of micro business organizations like Renaissance and
Okay.
lenders, nonprofit lenders called Cameo. I'll be mentioning it later. And I really wanted to laser focus on women because I was just fed up with the pathetic underfunding of women businesses, the lack of access to capital. The organizations that serve them are always the last to be funded or valued. I just wanted to change that dynamic. I just
Okay.
felt a passion about it. It kind of a spiritual commit experience kind of led me there, I guess.
Okay.
And so I did it. And it's been, what, about 8 years, 7, 8 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've been really actually pretty successful. I'm working with women's business centers, particularly in California, where we got the state to fund $8 million to enhance the women's business center programs. We grew from 14 centers to 21. There are 20,000 women, mostly women, but there's about
Okay.
25% men. So I said men and women
Women.
benefited last year, so I feel very excited and happy about that. And I continue to work with the National Women's Business Center Association, designing coaching programs, helping them with funding relationships. I also serve on the board of Sky's the Limit, which is, I'm going to talk about later, as a resource. Again, reaching women and women of color all over the country who are just young and just
Ready to go, huh?
really ready to go. And so helping them not just as a mentor, but also helping to raise funds for them too.
Okay.
So that's what Invest in Women Entrepreneurs is, a coaching, funding, resource developer, advocate organization that connects all the dots, all the people I've worked with over the years.
Okay.
And it's
Wow.
been very, very satisfying.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. And one of the things that I know by the end of this, I know people are going to be like, how can we reach her? But we won't tell them that just yet.
They
So
don't
now,
need to reach me.
well, I
They
mean,
need to
the
reach.
organization, they're going to want to know
Yeah.
how to get in touch
Oh,
with you.
sure. We can do that.
So now tell me, what should women consider before starting a small business or self-employment? What's some key stuff?
Well, I think that we understand somewhat why women start small businesses. It's not always so different from why men do, but because we look for more flexibility in our life work balance. Being your own boss is very attractive, as you know. Building wealth, having control over your income and wealth building. as I said, it's the same as men's desires, but we have to balance caregiving, housework,
Yes.
lack of affordable childcare more than men tend to do. I mean,
Yeah.
men are stepping up more than they did in my generation, I suppose. Although I was personally lucky with a very supportive husband. But I just think that, the women are turning to small business and contributing to our local economy more than ever because they see the benefits of being their own boss.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But there are things that you need to consider. I think you were asking me that. What do we need to think about before we start on this grand enterprise? And I'm going to be my perspective is really one of planning. And a business plan, I just feel, is essential. I mean, some people do without it, but I'm going to speak about the importance of reducing your risk by having a business plan and the importance, oh my God, so important, to getting support and what type of support is valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely. And I mean, that's the beauty of San Francisco Renaissance is because that 14-week business plan program really
Right,
helps you get started. So,
right.
yeah, it covers a lot of different bases. So,
So, okay, go ahead. I was just going to describe some of the resources that,
oh, we're going to save the resources for, well, if you want to do it now, because maybe you might not.
well, I just wanted to say that, since we're going to I'm going to talk stress, business planning, and developing a support system for yourself. I want to mention first that women's business centers that are funded by the Small Business Administration, and in California, the state of California still funds us as well. But and for many corporations and business, there are 145 women's business centers around the country. There are also seminars that are offered through local small business development centers and chambers. So those are some of the resources that women that will help women and others think about whether they should start, or if they do start, how to develop their business. It's also really important to research your market. Who's your customer and how do you reach them? Just because there's a multi-million-dollar market for hair products doesn't mean that someone is going to buy your particular product.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how do you differentiate yourself? What's your communications and your marketing plan? All of this really depends on your having a roadmap, and that's what a business plan is. It's a
Absolutely.
practical, hands-on roadmap.
So, Claudia, let me stop you real quickly because as you're
Sure.
saying that, I'm just like, wow, there is so much that goes into that question that I ask about starting the business and whatnot. But I think that we're going to lead them to those resources that you gave them for them to do the work.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it that way. So now one of the things I want to ask you now, why are women so often told to start small? And how does that advice actually limit the growth to wealth creation?
That's a really interesting point. Well, I think we fall into the habit of starting small because we want to please the people who are going to support us, our lenders. And I want to talk about lending in a while too. I think it's very important that women communicate their growth plan. And when they're looking for capital, looking for funding to get started, that they ask for the amount of money they really need, not what they think they'll get. And that's true for, navigating your salaries. I mean, it's a very similar thing. When women go to a bank, for example, but might be true for the rich uncle as well, or the father, when they go to a potential funder or supporter, they tend to be grilled about taking risks and what the risks are for that business. Whereas men, when they go to seek financing, are asked about the opportunities. What is it, and to describe what the opportunity is. So I would advise women to really turn their conversation around to talk about how they are going to grow and pay back the loan. Because That's a lot. I've
That's what they
always
want to hear.
amazed
Yeah.
in all the years I've been doing this, how frequently or infrequently people actually address of how they're going to pay the loan back, because that's what a banker needs to know, and that's what your uncle needs to know, or your friend who's going to lend you the money. I also think that women tend to see their business as a baby. They want to keep control, rather than maybe finding a partner or investor that would share the ownership, but also enhance the profitability, could be. And I always say, 50% of something is more than 100% of nothing. So it's important to enlarge your vision of what you want right from the beginning. You need to plan ahead to, you have to plan growth or the scale that you want to develop your business. Need to plan that from the get-go.
Yeah. 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 No, that's excellent advice. So now my next question to you is, what role does race, geography, or class play in who gets funded and who gets left behind?
Boy, those are real issues and they're difficult ones. I've certainly personally experienced clients of Renaissance going into the bank, whom a banker they talk to over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they show up, I was thinking about a particularly very smart, good looking, well dressed, tall Black man who walked into a bank that had invited him to apply for a loan and then got turned away.
Hmm.
And that was very painful. And I've heard similar stories from other people.
Yeah.
But I think we can overcome that, whether it's, we can overcome the threat or the potential of discrimination by marshaling the relevant data and business information about your business, and getting the personal support, like the mentoring I mentioned. I want to talk about how you could develop a board of advisors. That keeps your energy and your confidence up, so you can then project your passion
Right.
and your demonstrated investment, both your personal financial investment in the company, and show that you have a handle on your market, and that's going to communicate your potential for success. So yes, I think we have to be better prepared, obviously, but we also have to have the confidence to be able to project confidence, and that we know our market and we know what we're going to need in order to grow. So
I think the other thing too to keep in mind is that one no doesn't mean that that's the end of the world.
exactly.
You do have to
Yes.
kind of let people know that there are going to be some no's, but
Yeah.
that just meant it wasn't a match. And you just have to continue because there's going to be somebody out there. And I know that because when I was trying to get my program up and running, it took me almost 8 years before I was able to finally get the people that got it. And you know
Right.
what happened? What you said was key, creating an advisory board. And that's what I did.
Yep. I think having that personal support, sometimes we're called mentors, sometimes advisors. In fact, I do a lot of mentoring now of young entrepreneurs. And I want to actually relate that to your question of geography being a barrier too. People in rural areas, and
Mhm.
California is like 98% of our landmass is rural. And we have many, many, many rural communities where we have women's business centers, for example, in the Central Valley, up in Siskiyou County, Mendocino, who are absolutely critical to the local economy. But rural areas have fewer resources and less capital access, so it's really important to develop the resources there, find out where they are. They can be found, but there's less of them, and to learn how to use them most effectively. So yeah, I don't feel I have all the answers to how to navigate resources in rural areas. But again, I would say take advantage of the women's business centers, the SBDCs, and any other small business groups there to network with them and to find out where capital might be available. And there are a number of nonprofit lenders, like nonprofit banks, called community development financial institutions, and some of them operate statewide. So if you're in a rural area, there are resources for you. You just have to dig further.
So, Claudia, what's one policy change that could immediately move the needle for women entrepreneurs tomorrow?
Oh God, that could be our entire conversation. Let me see if I can
Just
connect
shorten
it.
it.
Yeah,
Shorten that
okay.
one.
Oh gosh. In California, there needs to be a stronger recognition of the economic impacts of funding women entrepreneurs, funding women-owned businesses. And I want to speak to childcare businesses in particular.
Okay.
Women's business centers have helped to increase the supply of childcare in our state really dramatically over the last few years. Probably close to 10,000 new slots of childcare over the last 4 years. And much of that home-based, family daycare. Now, that doesn't address the affordability issue, but it does address the access to childcare,
absolutely.
which women and families need in order to re-enter the workforce.
Yep.
So I would say I would like to see a policy change at the state level to very small, again, small amounts of money can create pretty strong impacts. Now, at the national level, we have other challenges with the Trump administration trying to whittle down staff in every federal agency. And so there are problems with the Small Business Administration being able to adequately support the women's business centers and the SBDCs as well. Because so many of the staff have been laid off. It's a very practical issue, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I would just say reinstate the SBA. And Congress is very supportive of women and women's business centers. And they keep allocating the money, but the money is not getting down to the people. So it's a policy, but it's really an attitude. It's kind of two things there. But I think we're missing out on great economic potential by not enabling funding to flow to people who can put it immediately to use in our communities. I mean, we're talking what we call shovel ready. I mean, I see every day small businesses that could use additional capital, could use additional, advising and technical assistance. It's not rocket science, and it works.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that kind of leads me to this: if access to capital were truly equal, how different would our economy look today?
Well, we need to invest more in our Main Street businesses and locally owned businesses, both Main Street businesses and also the innovators, manufacturers. And I mentioned hair care, body lotion, body care. Those are chocolate, food products. They're all a form of manufacturing, not just widgets, but tech-enabled businesses, businesses that operate online. They might be selling through Etsy stores, or they have their own online business. It could be a service as well. I mentioned childcare, for example, too. So if right now we have the financialization of our economy, it's a term that you hear used that means that capital is flowing towards the wealthy because of the way our systems are set up now, and also the way our governance is focused. So my dream would be to refocus capital into local communities because we can see the results so palpably in terms of job creation, in terms of energy and liveliness. I mean, look at Valencia Street in San Francisco. That was initially we had two or three Renaissance graduates who, back in the late '80s, who were and '90s, who were the first businesses to kind of start revitalizing what was a pretty shabby area. I don't know if you remember that. And one of them, back to the picture, is still there today, and he's doing he with that one small business. This is answering your question. He, with that one small business, was able to get enough profits that he was then able to buy a coffee shop, Ja Valencia, next door. He was able to buy his home. He then opened another coffee shop in the Bayview. He bought the building on 3rd Street. And so in that way, he accrued capital that enabled him to finance his daughter when she wanted to start her business. That's what generational wealth building is all about. And Servio, the owner, back to the picture, he started out selling oranges on the freeway in Los Angeles. He is a immigrant from El Salvador during the rough times there. So I always like to cite him because he provides a gallery for artists in his frame shop. He frames the people's artwork. You can go in there today, and but he's also used his capital, his income, to create more capital and wealth for himself and his family, his daughters.
So when you think back to all of this knowledge and time that you've spent in this arena, what's top of the mind for you? Because you've done quite a bit. I mean, so, and then not only that, you are involved in other things. Like I said, remember when we just recently ran into each other and I was like, Claudia, for some reason, you remind me of Gloria Steinem. And you were like, oh my goodness, Kelly, that's my girl. And so it's more to you than just, what you're so involved in so many other things. So all of this experience, all of this knowledge, top of the mind, what's on it for you?
Well, I think it has to do with human potential. It's so exciting to see someone like you or a Servio or Joshua Funches. He's 25 years old. He's one of my, I guess you could say, mentees or proteges, who I met through Sky's the Limit, which is a resource for young entrepreneurs between 20s and 30s who are just beginning their business and need a mentor. So it's also they have entrepreneurship training as well and capital, but they'll match you with a mentor to help you over the long run. So it's seeing that human potential and what can happen when someone is successful in starting and running a business. It might stay very small. Maybe they'll only have a couple of employees, but I've seen $1 million businesses take off as well, but sometimes the business supplements a family's income. It may not be the major source of income, but that extra income coming from a sideline business, like an Etsy shop, jewelry design. I see you have nice jewelry.
Well, I'm actually wearing, this is my cousin's jewelry. Her company is called Nina Ross.
There you go.
Yes, so absolutely.
Very, very common. That may not be her only source of income, but it's going to help her kids get in, go to college. In fact, they say families that have a micro business attached, the children do better, in terms of education, and the family economy does better.
Okay.
So I guess that's what really is what drives me, is seeing that the light in the eye of an entrepreneur and then it happening and seeing how you can channel human potential that not only is just the individual, but spreads out into our communities.
Yes.
And really creates more stakeholders. More owners mean more stakeholders, certainly taxpayers too, but it's more of a spirit. That's what keeps me excited.
And I saw you that question had you lit up. You lit up. So I finally got a question that got you going. So yes, I'm happy about that.
Well, you try to get your imagination, what is it that really drives me?
Oh,
So thank
yeah.
you for asking.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. So now, Claudia, if you could speak directly to a woman who's doubting whether her business ideal is big enough or good enough, what would you say to her?
Whether it's big enough. Well, I want to go back to my mantra about the business plan. You know, get to engage in a process that's going to help you analyze that. Look at your market, look at your financing, look at your operations and your own and your skills in that arena. And where do you need to build out your skills? How do you supplement that? Maybe bringing in a partner, maybe getting the board of advisors so you have some legal assistance or some tax assistance. You mentioned that you set up a board of advisors for yourself. How have they helped you in your business?
Oh my goodness. Well, this is when I was doing the culinary program that I started over at the Bayview Y. I
Right.
literally had the whole hotel industry, the whole hotel console as my advisory board,
Oh, that's great.
which allowed me to be able to get the children, the young people jobs, internships, travel. I mean, they did phenomenal stuff. So I was very, very fortunate to have all of these wonderful people supporting our program.
Yeah. And I think
They had,
that,
and they would advise me too. They would give me, direction in terms of how to keep the program going, how to, it was just phenomenal. So I was very
well,
blessed.
I don't think women are don't have a problem asking for directions. I think men have more of an issue with that. So I think being able to ask, find out what the questions are that you need to ask,
Yep.
and then ask as many people as you can.
Hmm.
Uh, find out whether people are going to buy your product or service. You know, go to expos and
Absolutely.
either have a table there yourself or just go around and see what other people are doing. The fancy food show, for example, is a really good example. A good example of what you can see in terms of your competitors and how are they presenting themselves and what kind of communications are they doing. I mean, all of that learning is important, but then you also have to bite the bullet and get started too. Can't
That's
plan
the
all
real
of it.
truth. That's the real
Yeah.
truth. This, and you know what I'm glad you said that because when you bite the bullet, that's what you learn. So maybe you mess up. But guess what? If you hadn't have bitten the bullet, you wouldn't have known how to fix it. Now you know what to
Right.
fix. So, Claudia, the other thing I wanted to say to you, you had said earlier that you were going to talk about another organization you were involved with, Sedell, or I'm not sure.
Oh, sky's the limit.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to encourage people to, if they, okay.
So you were talking about the sky's the limit.
Yes, and I also wanted to refer people to resources for business assistance and for lending. And these could be available to anybody listening, whether they're in California or outside of California too, to get started. I mentioned Sky's the Limit. I actually am on their board now, but I've been a mentor with them for 5 years, and it's an online digital mentor match platform that also provides entrepreneurial training and access to capital and grants. It's national. They've had 100,000 young people between 18 and 35. I mean, you can be older than that, but that's sort of the target. Pre-launch, early stage, but somebody who might, yeah, like I said, maybe pre-business, but also early stage businesses. We have a lot of women of color from the South who have found them online and are
Okay.
using it. Uh, they they're best kept secret because they're not located in any specific community. So I like to brag about them and to encourage people to try out Sky's the Limit as one way to kind of get their foot in the door to see whether their business ideas has any legs.
Okay.
I also mentioned Cameo Network. They are the CAMEO network. You can again Google them. They have listings in California of business assistance. They're called technical assistance, business assistance programs like Renaissance, and also nonprofit lenders, which make loans generally under $250,000 to early earlier stage people who would not necessarily be able to get a bank loan can be seen by a community development financial institution. They tend to work in particular regions like Fresno or San Francisco, but there are some that work statewide as well.
Okay.
This is California. The small business majority also has listings of lending and technical assistance resources too. And of course, the SBA, if you go to the US Small Business Administration, you get a map of all the women's business centers and SBDCs. But those are several resources that I can mention. I know people do mention the SBA's quite a bit. I don't think very many people do know about Sky's the Limit for younger entrepreneurs.
Okay.
But yeah, and of course, there's wonderful Renaissance serving the Bay Area still
Absolutely.
today that I highly recommend.
Okay. Okay. Wow. This was so exciting, Claudia. You have left so many gems of wisdom with these people. I am
Well, thank
so
you.
happy that you were able to come and share all of this knowledge that you have. So when you think about AI and all of this other technology stuff where they're saying millionaires can be created now, on YouTube and all of these other platforms, what do you think about that?
That is a hard question. I think AI can be really, really helpful in research and market research. Definitely helpful with that. I am not really qualified to speak about how you can become a billionaire or millionaire running an AI focused business. I think that just depends on the field that you're in and how you would adapt artificial intelligence for
Hmm.
that purpose.
Yeah.
I don't feel that AI is a substitute for face to face human connection, whether it's a mentoring relationship with a young entrepreneur or whether it's even a virtual training like you can get through Renaissance, where many of the classes and in various programs are now offered on Zoom,
Yeah.
makes it available to people much further away, particularly in rural areas. Having the internet has just been incredible
Yeah.
for both training and advising.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything is going to replace the wisdom and heart and spirit that human beings can provide to each other. It makes me sad to think that people have substituted robots for relationships. But
Yeah.
maybe it's better than alcohol. I don't know.
I
And I
guess.
have trying to. I'm a very positive thinker, so
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Claudia, as we close today's conversation, I'm reminded that change doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of people like Claudia Viek choose to challenge the system, speak truth to power, and invest in women long before the return is visible. Claudia's work is more than advocacy. It's a call to action, a reminder that when women are properly resourced, entire communities rise. So, wherever you are listening from, ask yourself, who am I investing in? What system am I willing to disrupt? And how can I be a part of building something more equitable than what currently exists? Claudia, thank you for your leadership, your persistence, and your unwavering belief in women entrepreneurs. And to our listeners, don't just be inspired by this conversation, be moved to act. Do something. Until next time, this is Straight Talking with Kelly. Claudia, thank you so much for being here.
thank you, Kelly, and thank you for being such a great role model for women entrepreneurs yourself. So
Oh,
it's been a real
appreciate that.
pleasure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, if you like this content, hit that subscribe button, like, share, and come back. See you soon.
Okay. Bye bye. Thanks.